Hi, this is Linda Thompson, your host for The Author Show. Strong women who are willing to break the mold, go against the grain, and choose a career in a field not considered women's work are the gals for whom I cheer the loudest. Guest author Leslie Jasper is just one of those women. In her book, Construction Tales, A Woman's Journey to Become an Electrician, Book 1, she takes us on a journey from apprentice to becoming a journeyman. And this is going to be a very interesting conversation, so let's get this show on the road. Leslie, welcome to The Author Show.
Thank you for inviting me, Linda.
Share with us a quick overview of Construction Tales.
Construction Tales is basically a book on what it was like for me to become a female electrician in the business in New York. I cover the 5-year apprenticeship that it is required in order to become an electrician. And along the way, I work with some very abnormal coworkers, so I decided to highlight them and share the funny stories along the way.
Why did you want to become an electrician, and do you still work in the trade?
The decision that I made was at the age of 17 years old when I decided to join the U.S. Navy. I became a CB, basically a construction electrician within the Navy, and I went up to take a ASVAB test, and they offered the choice, and then I made that choice, and I stuck with it. I have coming up on 20 years of experience within the union. A couple of years after getting out of the service, I applied and got into the union. And I still work within the trade, but I work in a different capacity. I work in the office for a large electrical contractor in New York City, and I create the blueprints. I'm also learning to become an engineer.
I noticed that you have a teen version of your book, so I have to ask, did you write it with any particular type of reader in mind?
I decided to originally write the adult version first, and I was hoping to reach out to empower women, empower minorities, to pursue avenues that normally would be closed to them, figuring I could use my story to inspire others to chase their dream and push through, figure out ways to combat difficult personalities along the way. And then while I was in the process of promoting the book, I realized that if I had a young reader read it, then I might be a little embarrassed due to the strong content, to the characters that are in my environment. So I decided to deeply edit the same book and create it because I felt like the message would be for young readers to chase after that dream no matter how difficult it is, and come up with coping strategies using humor and sharp wit and hard work and perseverance and accomplish what it is you want to do, and not listen to somebody who wants to push you away and make you not chase your dream. You follow it, and that was my goal.
Would you describe your writing style as that of a storyteller?
I felt like I wanted to portray the stories in a kind of a chronological order, so the timeline kind of coincides with each year of my apprenticeship, and each chapter kind of progressively demonstrate what it was like, my journey, the challenges I faced along the way, and then each year as I went to different jobs is when I ran into the coworkers and the characters that are in the book.
Your book title indicates that this might be a series. How many do you have planned?
I have about 20 years of stories, so I want to say that I probably could crank out at least 2 more. And then I do have some coworkers who said they wanted to give me a collection of old-timer stories. I also have some women that had said that they would like to offer some stories. And then at the very least, I can make things up afterwards, so I think the sky's the limit.
I have a feeling they're very interesting stories, too. So this is a good old boy's trade and has been for eons. To make it even worse, you work in the New York City area. What was it like when you were just starting out?
I would say that I was very young and inexperienced. So when you get thrust onto a job site and you look around and you have all these people judging you based on your external and not because of your skill set initially, I felt the need to develop my craft and try to be as, work as much of a craftsman, craftswoman, if you want to say, and perfect every aspect of what I learned and do it to a T because I felt like my name was attached to it. and my credibility and my longevity in the business, working for long periods of time, depended on that. So between that and you get thrust into a bunch of dirty old boys where you have to figure out how to navigate, where you have to cope, it's not easy when you're faced with people asking you really crazy questions that they wouldn't say in mixed company ever.
If you were writing an article talking about your book, Construction Tales, what would the headline be?
We do our best work in the dark.
I love it. So what kind of feedback have you received from readers so far of Construction Tales?
I find a lot of people are surprised. They are surprised at the stories. They're surprised at the journey. They feel inspired. And there are some females that are in the trade that have also picked up the book, and they vouch for a lot of the stories. I mean, my goal was never to make it into a feel sorry for me kind of book. It was more to say, here, these are the hurdles I faced. I faced them. I went over the hump. I'm down the other side. I'm a champion, and I got my journeyman card, got some laughs along the way, and gained a great reputation working in the business, and got some really amazing stories.
Okay, with regard to your getting up the mountain and going over that final hurdle, would you say you finally found acceptance in the trade, and is it now easier for other women to follow in your path?
I would say no matter, I could be in this business 40 years. I would step foot on a job, and if I don't know the person who I'm dealing with, I would have to challenge myself and prove myself the same as if I was a first year. But the beauty of it is rumors fly around this business faster than you wouldn't believe. So everybody knows about me before I walk into the door. So I've established a great reputation, so I don't have to worry. It's not an issue. I would say each woman would probably have to come in on their own individual merit and prove themselves. I would say I probably did make it a little easier for the next woman to come, but it's still up to her to prove herself and learn the business. There's no free ride. I don't think you can know another female in the business. We don't have any kind of pull like that where you can know somebody and be able to not have to prove yourself.
Are there a lot of women now in the business?
No. Well, the boys will tell you that we're taking over. So if we go from one female on the job to two, it's like we're taking over. But in the big scheme of things, I want to say it was probably 2% of the workforce is women. And in the 20 years that I've been in, I believe it might be 6%. Because you have to have a very unique personality. You have to have a strong mind. You have to have quick wit. And you have to be willing to work hard in order to stay in this business.
You're a single mom with 2 young sons. How do they feel about their mom being a trailblazer?
You know what's really amazing about that is that I feel like I've changed in their mind the perception of what a woman can do or can't do. Quick story, we were in Toys R Us, and there was a Home Depot section, and the thing said, you can build this like Dad. So my 10-year-old said, that's sexist, Mom. They should be able to say man and woman. And it took a moment to soak it in what he had said, and I was thinking, wow, I actually have a lasting impact on him to where he'll be able to pass it to his children, and maybe over time society will evolve and become accepting if women are handy with their hands, that they're able to proceed in this business.
Well, congratulations for teaching your children well, and I am just really impressed that it hit home that well. Before we started recording, you mentioned that you were engaged to be married. How does your future husband feel about your working in what is normally considered a man's world?
He's a manager at a casino. I would say he's more open-minded. He's proud of me. He thinks that it's great. He likes the fact that I can earn a paycheck and that I don't have to rely on him, so that's a plus. I would say that he's probably happy that I'm not in the field, in that working with the tools anymore, so I think it's probably... He's accepting. If I had to, he would be okay with it, but I would say he's supportive.
Is Construction Tales a woman's journey to become an electrician similar to anything else we may have read?
There are a couple of books that I actually picked up because I wanted to enrich my writing experience, and one of which is a book called Hard-Hatted Women. It's a collection of short stories by a bunch of women from the trades, probably from the 70s or 80s and earlier. So I read that, and I kind of feel like the theme is pretty similar to my story. There's a few books out there that I plan to pick up so that I can read as well.
If you had to choose What would you say is the single most important idea you want to share with readers of your book?
I want people to be empowered to do what it is that they want to do and don't allow anybody to push them back and make them feel like they don't belong. If anybody learns anything, it's just keep going. And I always said God gave you two hands to knock, so when one gets tired, you use the other one to knock. And then when that one gets tired, then the other one, use that one to knock.
What is it about Construction Tales that makes it stand out in a crowd?
It's unique.